Okay, in relation to this debate, which is not really a debate, debate is usually an argumentative issue. This is really just a discussion, okay? Do you know about the stock market? And being involved in it for 30 years, I think I do know about it. I think I've seen in the poll there's 65% in favour that they know about the stock market and 35% that actually don't. So I'm going to, in layman terms, try to teach you more about it from the knowledge viewpoint of what I know about the actual stock market and how it works, and give you a layman's term of way of how it works without trying to overwhelm you and let you know. Because I always talk to people when I know something and I'm technically savvy at it or whatever like that. I put it into perspectives that people can understand what I'm talking about. Used to be a computer programmer and computer technician, and I got into all that jargon. People didn't even understand what I was actually talking about too. And the same thing applies when it comes to the stock market, that people get very overwhelmed in what it's going. So we're going to start off of literally how it actually starts. So we have a lot of companies out there that are actually private companies, and what happens is sometimes those private companies get to a point that they need funding and capital to raise. So what they'll do is they'll actually introduce from the private company to put it into a public offering, sometimes even with their own employees or whatever it is, through the IPO personal fund, or they give them a certain amount, and there's warrants and all these things. And I'm not going to get into it because it's a lot of big deal about it, all right? But what they use is what you call a initial public offering, and every company has to start this off first, and that to be able to come on the main exchanges like the Nasdaq and the New York Stock Exchange, and they have to go through a lot of criteria to meet the demand because it's run by the SEC. So they have to have the rules and regulations to be able to get to it. So their main fundamental of sometimes to actually go from a private company to a public company is to raise capital for various purposes, obviously, including funding growth and paying off debt. And a lot of sometimes it's pay off debt and enabling existing investors to actually cash out. So it enables them to establish a market price for their shares, which can increase brand awareness and attract and retain the employees. Okay, so basically what it is in layman terms that you now become part of that company. They get what you call stocks. So they put stocks in the company, and in turn that you can, now that you have stocks, you can get shares of that company and you become part of that company. Well, it doesn't matter if you have even one little fraction of a share. Legally wise, you are still part of that company. You own a part of that company, whether it be. And the problem is facing with when it comes to these is the public offering. Literally, it can get to the point sometimes can take your own company over. I think there's some legal issues in regard to that, but a certain amount and the percentage of what they can acquire, they can actually become on the board as well. And you literally can get your actual company that was private and you've gone public now to be taken over by somebody else. And it's kind of a scary situation. And this is where it's, when you talk about skill set of knowing about things, I'm going to teach you a couple of little things about investing. Okay, there's what you call the long-term investing and the daily trading investing, okay? Uh, when you actually are into investing, it's kind of like an IRA, that something is governing the system that is allowing you to put a certain amount into it, and it increases and compounds over a period of time. And a lot of time it's investors that are actually using their funds and whatever, and the companies that are actually investing in something else, which is increasing your profit, and you have a security safety net that you don't lose any more, you just increase, okay, which is a good thing on an IRA. Okay, the same thing can apply to actually long-term trading. Is what you're actually doing is you're investing in a stock that you are expecting to go up, and if you have a look at the stocks at a long period of time you had got into, like Microsoft, and Netflix and there's many in Tesla and things like that. When they first started as an IPO, if you had got into, some of them started off shakily, but at the long-term run, you can see now the money that you would have put in, you would have made a lot of money out of it. And I remember when Microsoft first came out and it came on the personal computers, and I was told when I first bought my personal computer, this is going to be the biggest thing since sliced bread, to get into it, to invest in it. And if I had invested $5,000 in at that particular time when it came out, 3.1 or 3.0 I think it was the first Microsoft actually software, and it took over the whole personal computer industry. And to this day, you'd be a multi-millionaire for that amount, but you just don't know. That's the way it works, right? So you have the long-term investment, and then you have the other one that's called daily trading. So we'll talk about long-term investing, now we're talking about daily trading. And the stock market opens usually up from 9:30 a.m. and it closes at 4 p.m. But there's also now that you can actually start the stock exchange at 4 a.m. and it's called pre-trading. And post-market trading is actually after the 4 o'clock. You can trade till 9:30 p.m. This is where the skill set comes into play. This is where the big boys are starting to manipulate, and this is where manipulation comes into the stock exchange. Okay, people say there's no manipulation. I beg to differ. You can see it actually manipulate. You can see the hedge funds come in at certain times and short big companies, and that their own companies that they pay them to short their own prices and bring it down, and they make a fortune on it themselves on their own companies, and that's sometimes how they get themselves out of bankruptcy and all. But there's a lot of things involved in it, okay? And I can go into other videos and tell you about it, but do I know about the stock exchange for 30 years? Yeah, I do know about it. I know about the manipulation systems. I know how to look at candles, and candles are very important. Volume is the most important aspect of trading. Okay, people don't believe that, and they just look at certain graphs and things like that and come in at the wrong time, and stupidity makes you poor. Research can make you profitable. Okay, news is very, very important when it comes to a stock, okay, of how it's going, of what's happening with that stock, and that can determine a surge or a drastic loss on that particular stock, because you can see the manipulation. And let's talk about, and I only have another couple of minutes, is candles. We work on candle systems, okay? Red is a bearish system, green is a bullish system. So obviously when you see more green candles, it means there's more people buying. If you see more red candles, there's more people selling, okay? That's how you have to use your mindset and your experience to understand how the stock market works, okay? It's a very simple system, actually, all run by volume. You just have to get in at the right time and understand when it is either whether you want to sell it. The old saying is buy low, sell high, okay? And that's kind of hard to do sometimes, and especially on pre-market, because pre-market you can't set up your own stop losses and everything like that. You can manually do it. You have to watch it, and it's very fast. If you get a surge, sometimes it can surge anywhere from 25% up to 1,000% before even opening, okay? And vice versa, it can literally go, it was up on the high, and it can drop down 70 to 100%. So you can get burnt really if you don't understand how to work it. And I'm going to run out of time, but yes, I do understand the stock market. I understand how it started off, and yes, I've been involved in it. Yes, I've made a lot of money on it, and yes, I lost a lot of money on it. But if you want me to delve more into it, ask me to do a video of how you can see it's manipulated. I'll be glad to show you that too. All right? So yeah. Yes. Sorry, that was till 8 p.m., not 9:30 p.m.